So I'm wearing my new dress. It's different from like all the other dresses I got. I know I've been getting like a bunch of clothes lately, but like I'm changing my wardrobe. So I'm just leaving stuff that, I used to wear a lot of shorts and I end up putting them away. So like those shorts end up getting too tight. Sometimes you can even see, like the lower part of my butt, and I'm kind of like getting rid of that. I'm just putting it up all for sale. Plus, some other tops. Nothing too revealing. Not that there's anything wrong with like wearing revealing things. I did for a while, but I don't know. I think like I'm shifting a little bit, and I don't know. But yeah, so basically, I yesterday I got this. I was also like all the dresses I've been getting, I'm getting them on sale, so I'm not really paying like full price for anything. For example, yesterday I found three dresses with for the price of like one, so including this one. But yeah, so basically I'm going out with my cousin today. It's been like months since we went out together, and yeah, I'm excited. I really enjoy spending time with her. I think that we have a good synergy. She's 8 years younger than me, so like there's a bit of like, it's kind of like one of those differences that there are some things she's talking about that I don't really get, but at the same time like I get more than like I guess like her parents. This is something that I was noticing. I think yesterday or the day before, my brother showed my parents and myself like a video that he thought was really fun and really funny. And I kind of like didn't get it at first. I was like, oh my god, I'm getting old. Also, my brother's birthday, like at my aunt's place, because my brother is like a decade younger than me, so like there's a 2 year difference between my brother and my cousin. So like he ended up saying something, and then she got it, and then I didn't, which made me realize like I'm kind of like like the adult stage. I mean, technically being the adult stable for like a decade, but I am at the point where like things are getting over my head. It's interesting because like this is not making me anxious or sad. This is something that in the past it would have led to very negative feelings, and then today this past few days I'm like, what, like I'm just at a different point in my life, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with this. So yeah, I think if this had happened like a few years ago, I would be very shaken by the whole thing, but as of right now, like things are okay. But yeah, so also like just kind of like changing the topic a little bit, I'm thinking about my hair because I'm letting it grow, and I still have like the like the tips, like they are bleached, so I can dye them. But I've been thinking about like not dyeing my hair again, not bleaching my hair again, because I want it to grow, and whenever I bleach it, like it ends up being getting very damaged. So I am considering just going with my natural my hair from now on. I mean, I'm still going to like dye it until like as long as I have like this like bleached parts. But like once that is over, I think that because I want my hair to be not only I don't think I want it to be like super long. It doesn't have to reach my butt, but I would like it my lower back. So because my hair used to be that length when I was a young kid and a teenager. I mean, maybe not a kid, but like a teenager, my head had grown exponentially, and I ended up cutting in 2012, cutting like it was about here, and then it grew back to where it was before by the time I reached my last year of high school. and and then I ended up bleaching it and started dyeing my hair. This was like well over a decade ago. It's because it was like December 2014, so it's 11 years. And I don't regret anything, but I will say that throughout like the years with me bleaching it, like I really lost a lot of like length. There were moments where my hair was kind of like long and also dyed, but I think that I think I'm ready to stop dyeing my hair, basically is what I'm trying to say, because for the longest time I really didn't feel like myself when my hair wasn't like colored, and right now I'm feeling, I don't know, I think that it might be time. So I don't know, but yeah, so it's just something that has been on my head. But yeah, so regarding like what I usually record this video for me to talk about my personal developments, and I am at a point where, continuing with something that I said the other day, that I'm kind of like I have to accept that I'm never going to be some things, be it because of like the geographic position that I'm in, given I know gender, sexuality, religion, or like thereof. There are certain things that when you think belief affiliations, like those things, I am who I am. And so for example, sometimes there's an element of pain, like I want to not be in pain, like emotional pain. So if I had a different orientation, like I wouldn't feel so much. But like I think when I think like this is who I am, and yes, like there's these different elements that like my life would be very different if like those elements were different. My experience existing, my experience just being out there, and I kind of like want to accept that. Like I kind of like realize that sometimes I place on myself the weight of something that it's not there. Like I want to, how do I put it, like I kind of like I try to bring like those situations that would happen if I were different into kind of like my current life, and it doesn't work out. It doesn't give me the same level of satisfaction, basically, because it only works if like that was if I was somebody else. So there's like a few of like these situations that I've been spotting, and I want like to kind of like get to a point where I no longer feel bad because that's not me, that's not my life, and I'm not trying. I try to say that I'll grow complacent, like not. I don't want that, but I do think that there are certain things that I have to kind of like accept about the world, and I have to accept first myself those things, like the things I can change, and then the world will change. Then my perception of the world will change. Because I talk about like these things that sometimes make me uncomfortable when I realize nothing, because like there are big things that make us sad and uncomfortable. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about smaller things that end up connecting to my traumas and insecurities. So like I see them and I'm kind of like not necessarily taken aback, but it does generate like a negative feeling. I feel uncomfortable. I feel like inadequate sometimes, and I want that to stop. I want to kind of like really embrace myself, who I am. And like I think that in general I have been able to do that, but there's still like some areas of my life that doesn't seem to be the case. So I want to target them. I want to kind of like learn why is that I'm still why is my trauma is still informing my decisions regarding this area of my life. Why is that my insecurities are kind of like talking louder than like certainty, because you never really have like 100% certainty. And I think I stopped looking for it. It's been like a while since I went looking for it, but like there are still some things that, because you have to be okay despite the uncertainty. Because I think that the way I used to do things like a little while, not a little, but like a while ago, was that I was trying to kind of like counter the uncertainties. So basically I wanted to make sure that I'm that like nothing, that there was no uncertainty. I wanted to create like all these different scenarios, trying to foresee what was going to happen. Like if this doesn't go right, I can do this. And I had like all these plans, and but these still things didn't always work out great. So I had to really so that destabilized me. So what I had to do now is not be as vulnerable, like not be okay when things, they don't happen according to plan, because that's always going to be the case. Even if like, and I think sometimes like you get used to like things working out for to some extent, that you kind of like you might regress a little bit, like in terms of like just accepting uncertainty. And I don't know if this is the case right now for me, because I think I had some good examples this month of me kind of like adapting well to things that didn't go right. And there's more uncertainty in the future, so I really want to, yeah, I think that right now like I'm doing okay. So I'm pretty stable, so it's easy for me to deal with like these uncertainties. But what I want is for like my life in the future to, like when I'm not as stable, I have like an episode, I want to still have, to still be grounded in reality, in my life, and not in fantasies. Because if I am, it's going to be easier for me to go through that. And yeah, life is good. Life can be good, even when things don't work out. And I think that that's something, a lesson that like life has been teaching me. Like you can still find peace, you can still find, you can still be at ease, even when things are not going according to plan, even when things are going bad. And I think that this is the type of thing that you learn. It is with age, you have. So I was talking about like me being younger, and I don't want to be, I'm saying that like I'm at like 9% in terms of not wanting to go back and redo things. That's a 10% that is still very much there, like I'm that is to make me like, oh, I'm going to do things differently. But I will say that my mind right now, like this is one of the things that I have to my advantage, like as opposed to like a decade ago. I am more resilient, I am stronger, I am more secure, more sure of myself. I have accepted uncertainty. So like I make, you could argue that like I'm making less plans right now than I did like a decade ago, when I was 17, 18. And that, I think that there was the type of thing that at first like I'll see as like very negatively, like I have less plans. But because there's a lot of like megalomaniac plans that would not come to fruition, and that didn't come to fruition. But I think that my plans, they are more directed, they're more guided by things that are happening in my life, not in the fantasies, in the endless possibilities that like you think that you can have in life. Because that is also a thing. You're not, like I would love to believe that, I used to believe that I could get anywhere I wanted, achieve everything I wanted. And the reality is that like there's some things that your circumstances don't allow you to kind of like get as far. Like you need a different starting point, you need different circumstances, and that is not, and what I have is my reality. So basically I am kind of like accepting that like maybe I won't go as far as I had once dreamed. But that doesn't mean that like life is bad and that things suck. It's just like an adjustment. Like I can also like right now I think I know better what are the things that kind of like fill my life with joy, that motivate me, that make me fulfilled, which is something that like a decade ago I didn't necessarily I didn't have as much clarity. And yeah, so it's pretty good that like right now I can make more targeted efforts to kind of like have a good life. And yeah, so that's basically some of the things that have been in my mind. Like I have to accept the things that I can change. And like I have, because like what I said, like when I was younger, I really thought like I can change anything and everything, and that's not reality. So basically what I want is to kind of like just despite like the things that I can change, like I kind of like find solutions that maybe they won't solve those things, but like I will be able to work around it, like I'll be able to kind of have like yeah, I will I can still achieve things basically. It doesn't, and if I cannot achieve as much, like that's necessarily a bad thing, because as I said, there's some adjustments that have to be made because some of my expectations, some of my dreams and fantasies, they were just threw out there. And as I said, like I needed like to have started off like with a different context for some of those things to work out. But yeah, but like I want to be happy with like my lot in life. Basically, I'm saying basically too much. I want to be happy with my lot in life. I want to find fulfillment, even if like it is not in the way that I had envisioned when I was a kid or a teenager. And I am doing pretty well in terms of that. Like I am very centered. Like yeah, I'm still figuring things out. I don't have it all laid out for me, but I think that I'm more perceptive. I'm listening better. I'm seeing better. I'm not just seeing. I'm kind of like I'm not just hearing. I'm listening. I'm not just observing. I'm kind of like seeing. I don't know if that works out, but that's what I'm trying to say, because things that's that like they can work out, and maybe you just need to adjust expectations, which I think is something that I have been doing well. Like I think that I am at a point where I can really that I can adapt, and also I think I'm happy with my use of my time. I think that I am pursuing things that are kind of like they're not only like enjoyable for the moment, they're fulfilling as well. And things that, and I have to finding fulfillment. It can be hard because sometimes like what you want, but like you don't know the way. Like there is a long journey, and you don't always have the tools to like make things work. But you can acquire the tools. Like it might take a little bit more time because then you should just have them. But it is something worth considering. It is something you don't have to despair when you get to a point, and when you don't really have the instruments to kind of like do something. You can take a step back and you can find solutions, you can find alternatives. And when I was younger, I was so opposed with alternatives. I wanted this one thing, this one life. Anything that wasn't that was, rubbish. I really, I didn't want that. And right now I am at a point where I'm really open to the possibilities. I don't know what life has for me. I think that, I have in my personal life, in my internal life, like I have been able to kind of like really reach, a point where things are working out great, and that, like not only right now, but like I have confidence that, when things like they end up going sideways, if I have like an episode up here or down here, that I know that I'll be able to handle it better than I have in the past. And that's kind of like the tendency. Every day I'm going to be doing a little better. And if I get to a point where things are not as disparaging, as painstaking, than they used to be. And as I said, there's no right or wrong way of approaching things. You could argue that there's like an effective and ineffective ways, but I think that I have been, like in a good path. I think I've been pretty effective, in terms of like adapting myself, adjusting to the circumstances, and I can only hope that this is going to continue, because if my life keeps going at the pace I am at right now, not like the pace, but like in the context I am at right now, like I can, see myself living a long life. I would want to live that life. But yeah, so accepting things is kind of interesting, because I thought like I had done all the accepting I had to, do. But it's not true, because, a lot of these fantasies, they highlight that there are things that I still want. And I would say that, if I compare my fantasies, like right now to what they were like a decade ago, like they are much more grounded and realistic, except when I'm a little manic, then, like they get really messy and bad. But like right now, currently, they a lot of the fantasies I have, like they are basically kind of like they're doable, like they're just I want, these should be a little bit better, than they are right now. And it can be, maybe it has to do with like, a lot of this has to do with money, just, like me having more money, but I don't have to have all the money in the world now. I can only have a little bit more, so I can, do the things that I love. I can get more tattoos, I can get, go to places I wanna, treat out, and, enjoy the things that, I do. So it's like, pretty doable, like it is not like really that far-fetched, but, sometimes like it just starts out reasonable, but it grows into such a pain in the ass, because then it becomes unrealistic. But as I said, like I realize now that I have to accept my life as it is, and part of it is kind of sad, because I have to kind of like accept that some things are never going to happen, and I'm dealing with it much better than if it were like 5 years ago, because right now like there's a little sadness as I kind of like give up some things, but like it is not overwhelming. I just have, and I think the key is to kind of like bask in your feelings. So like you're sad, allow yourself to be sad for a little bit, and then I think that your brain naturally, it accepts reality. So yeah, so that's kind of like the theme for me for the next days, weeks, or months, however long it takes. I'm going to accept that those things I can change, and I'm going to like still live a good life, still be happy with my life despite those things. So that is kind of like where I am at, mentally. But yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap this up right now. So I have exciting things to do this afternoon, but until then I'm thinking of working, doing a little writing. I've been it's interesting, because like tattoos have been kind of like occupying my mind, lately. But like it is something that is enjoyable. Because I think that if this was like some years ago, I would think of this as a waste of time. My dad is calling me. Bye.